Imagine for a moment the weight of lost love. Whether it's unrequited or slipped away due to misunderstanding, the feeling of emptiness it leaves can be overwhelming. We've all heard stories or even experienced firsthand the heartache of loving in the wrong way. This is not because love itself is a problem, it's because of how we love. Misconceptions, misplaced expectations, and unexamined patterns of attachment can turn even the most genuine affection into a source of stress and dependency. This exploration into love and attachment isn't just for those who are experiencing pain in a relationship or suffering from a breakup. It's for everyone who wants to know how to nurture true love. Love that supports, heals, and flourishes rather than love that controls or stifles. Drawing on the teachings of Zen Master Min Niem, this piece will guide you through how to cultivate a lasting, peaceful, and fulfilling love by understanding the difference between attachment and true compassion. We'll examine key insights from Buddhism, mindfulness, and modern psychology, each shedding light on how to approach love in a way that leads to true happiness, both for ourselves and those we cherish. Misunderstandings about love, the trap of expectations. One of the biggest misconceptions about love is that it is primarily about personal fulfillment and happiness, as if finding the right partner will magically make life complete. We grow up with fairy tale images and dramatic love stories that make it seem as though a perfect match can make all our worries disappear, and sometimes even believe that love is a cure for our insecurities and self-doubt. This belief leads us to see love as something that will fill an emotional void within us. However, Zen Master Min Niem reminds us that love's true essence lies in compassion and understanding, not in seeking personal gratification or solving our internal struggles. When we enter relationships with the expectation that they will fulfill us entirely, we set ourselves up for disappointment and frustration. This mindset of love as fulfillment often blinds us to the reality of the other person, leading us to view them as a solution rather than a partner. Lan, a woman I once counseled, experienced this firsthand. She entered her first serious relationship believing her partner would bring her endless happiness and validation. She imagined a love that would sweep her off her feet and make all of life's troubles disappear. But as the relationship progressed, she began feeling disappointed when her partner couldn't live up to these expectations. She wanted him to anticipate her every need, to be constantly available, and to make her feel whole. When this didn't happen, Lan felt hurt, abandoned, and even resentful, as if he were failing her in some way. In reality, her partner was a kind and caring person, but he couldn't possibly meet every emotional need she had. Instead of seeing him as a separate individual with his own needs and limitations, Lan viewed him through the lens of her own unfulfilled desires. Her expectations transformed him from a loving partner into a kind of emotional caretaker, responsible for her sense of happiness and self-worth. This misunderstanding created tension and conflict between them, leading to arguments and eventually a breakup. Lan's story is a reminder of how easy it is to mistake our personal desires for genuine love, and how expectations can damage even the most genuine connection. Expectations in love can also trap us in cycles of control and dependency. When we cling to an idealized version of love, we often try to mold our partner to fit our needs rather than appreciating them as they are. This can lead to constant disappointment as no one can live up to a perfect fantasy, and it also deprives our partner of the freedom to express their true self. A relationship based on rigid expectations stifles both people, creating a dynamic where each person feels pressured to perform rather than simply being themselves. Moreover, expectations can lead to frustration when reality doesn't align with our fantasies. For instance, if we expect our partner to always agree with us, prioritize us above all else, or constantly express love in the way we envision, any deviation can feel like a betrayal. But love, when true, is a dynamic and evolving connection. It's not a fixed arrangement that can be checked off a list. Rather, it's an ongoing journey that requires flexibility, understanding, and open-heartedness. The key to overcoming this trap lies in releasing rigid expectations and accepting the beauty of imperfection. When we approach love without demanding perfection or placing it on a pedestal, we allow the relationship to grow organically. This shift in perspective frees us from disappointment and lets us connect with our partner on a deeper level, grounded in mutual respect and genuine care. Ultimately, love rooted in acceptance rather than expectation allows both partners to be authentic and supportive. Instead of looking to our partner to fulfill every need, we can appreciate the relationship for the joy and companionship it brings, even as we continue to grow as individuals. This approach to love fosters a more resilient, open connection that doesn't falter when life doesn't go exactly as planned. Choosing the right person versus nurturing a lasting love. Many people believe that happiness in relationships depends on finding the right person. The idea is that compatibility alone can guarantee a successful and joyful relationship. We're often told that if we choose wisely, our partner will naturally fulfill all our needs and our relationship will run smoothly. However, while compatibility is essential, choosing the right person is only the beginning. The deeper, often more challenging work lies in nurturing a love that can withstand the tests of time, change, and personal growth. Min Neem's teachings highlight that relationships require more than just chemistry or alignment in values. They demand active commitment, patience, and adaptability. Real love grows not just through shared interest, but through a shared dedication to making the relationship a priority, even when it's difficult. Many couples who initially seem like the perfect match encounter challenges when the excitement of new love wears off and the realities of daily life come into play. Without a strong commitment to cultivating the relationship, even the most compatible pairs can drift apart. Consider the story of Emily and David, who seemed like a perfect couple at first. Both were passionate about the same hobbies, held similar values, and enjoyed each other's company immensely. However, as the years went by, David became increasingly focused on his career, leading him to spend more time at work. Emily, on the other hand, began to feel isolated and neglected, longing for the quality time they once shared. Though they started out feeling deeply connected, the demands of work, personal goals, and everyday stress began to erode the closeness they once had. For Emily and David, it wasn't a lack of love or compatibility, but rather a failure to nurture their connection amidst life's changing circumstances. Their story reflects a common reality. Relationships aren't static. People change, circumstances shift, and external factors can put pressure on even the most compatible partnerships. Nurturing a lasting relationship requires each person to stay aware of these changes and find ways to support each other's growth. Rather than assuming love will take care of itself, both partners need to actively participate in making the relationship resilient. This could mean scheduling regular time together, practicing open communication, or even re-evaluating personal goals to align better with each other's needs. Moreover, choosing to nurture love is also about recognizing that there will be difficult moments. Conflicts, disappointments, and misunderstandings are natural in any close relationship. A lasting love depends on the ability to approach these challenges with compassion and a willingness to resolve issues together. Couples who prioritize empathy over winning arguments or assigning blame tend to strengthen their bonds over time. This dedication to understanding each other, even in times of conflict, is a key factor in sustaining love over the long term. It's also essential to recognize that nurturing a relationship involves emotional growth on both sides. If one partner changes significantly while the other remains the same, the relationship may feel imbalanced. For example, suppose one partner begins a journey of self-discovery and develops new interests or perspectives. In that case, the other may feel left out or disconnected unless both make an effort to adapt. Nurturing love requires flexibility, a willingness to embrace each other's growth, and support for each other's individual journeys. Ultimately, love is not a destination, but a journey, one that requires both partners to continuously invest in each other's happiness and well-being. Rather than just seeking compatibility, look for someone who is committed to growing with you. This approach lays a foundation for a love that can endure not only because of shared interests, but because of shared values and a shared dedication to the relationship itself. By shifting our focus from finding the one to building a lasting bond, we create a relationship that can adapt to change, overcome obstacles, and deepen over time. A lasting love isn't simply about finding the right person, it's about becoming the right person for each other, time and time again. Mindful love, loving without losing yourself. In many relationships, people often find themselves so deeply entwined with their partner's emotions and desires that they begin to lose their sense of self. They pour all their energy into ensuring their partner's happiness, sometimes to the point where they forget their own needs and values. This type of love may feel like selflessness, but without mindful awareness, it can turn into self-neglect, dependency, and ultimately resentment. Mindful love offers an alternative, a way to love deeply and sincerely without losing oneself in the process. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present, aware of our thoughts and emotions without letting them control us. When applied to love, mindfulness allows us to approach relationships with clarity, acceptance, and emotional balance. It enables us to observe our reactions, recognize patterns, and respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Mindful love means loving with intention, rooted in self-awareness, rather than being swept up by our emotions or caught in unhealthy habits. Take the story of Mia and Jack, a couple who initially seemed inseparable. Mia found herself constantly anticipating Jack's needs and prioritizing his happiness, often at the expense of her own. She would cancel her plans, adjust her schedule, and overlook her own goals to make sure Jack was content. She thought that sacrificing her time and energy was what love required. However, over time, Mia began to feel drained and unfulfilled. She felt lost, as though her identity had become tied entirely to her role as Jack's partner. Her self-worth depended heavily on his approval and satisfaction. Mia's experience reflects the pitfalls of loving without mindfulness. She had unintentionally made Jack's happiness the center of her world, neglecting her own needs and desires. This type of love can quickly lead to an imbalance where one person loses their individuality. Mindful love, however, invites a different approach. Rather than giving all of herself to Jack, Mia could nurture a love that respects both his needs and her own. Mindfulness helps us to develop a healthy relationship with ourselves, and this self-awareness is crucial for balanced love. By being in tune with our own emotions, desires, and limits, we can set healthy boundaries and ensure that our love doesn't turn into self-sacrifice. Practicing mindful love means recognizing when we're giving too much and knowing when to step back to maintain our sense of self. It's about loving with intention, grounded in self-respect, which ultimately enriches the relationship. In Mia's case, once she began practicing mindfulness, she started to reclaim her independence and self-worth. She took time to explore her passions, reconnect with friends, and pursue her own goals, which allowed her to feel fulfilled and joyful independently of her relationship. Mia also learned to express her needs openly with Jack, fostering a relationship where both partners could thrive individually and together. This shift created a healthier dynamic in which Mia could love Jack without losing herself in the process. Another key aspect of mindful love is the ability to manage expectations and emotions without letting them overwhelm the relationship. Mindfulness teaches us to observe our feelings without immediately reacting. For example, if a partner doesn't respond to a message right away, a mindful response might involve acknowledging any feelings of insecurity or impatience, but choosing not to act on them impulsively. Instead of assuming the worst, mindfulness encourages us to take a step back, consider other perspectives, and respond with patience and understanding. Mindful love also nurtures open communication. Being mindful helps us to express our emotions and needs in a clear, calm, and compassionate way, reducing misunderstandings and conflicts. It allows us to approach sensitive topics with empathy rather than accusation, strengthening the connection and trust between partners. When we communicate mindfully, we listen attentively and speak with purpose, focusing on resolving issues rather than winning arguments. This helps create a supportive environment where both partners feel heard and valued. Furthermore, mindfulness allows us to embrace our partner as they are, rather than trying to change them. Often people enter relationships with subconscious expectations, hoping their partner will meet specific emotional needs or fulfill certain roles. Mindfulness encourages us to approach our partner without preconceived notions, recognizing that they are a unique individual with their own strengths, limitations, and dreams. By accepting our partner as they are, we free ourselves from the desire to control or mold them, allowing the relationship to flourish authentically. Practicing mindful love doesn't mean we should ignore our partner's needs or compromise on core values. Rather, it emphasizes balance, loving deeply while also respecting our individuality. In a mindful relationship, each person can be fully themselves, fostering a connection that is both interdependent and supportive. By nurturing our own inner peace and self-awareness, we bring more patience, empathy, and resilience into the relationship, allowing both partners to grow together without feeling stifled. Ultimately, mindful love is about maintaining a healthy sense of self while creating a harmonious bond with another. It is an approach to love that empowers both individuals to be their true selves, making the relationship a place of growth, joy, and mutual respect. Mindful love means being present, embracing our partner without unrealistic expectations, and honoring our own journey alongside theirs. In this way, love becomes a journey of self-discovery and shared happiness rather than a path to self-loss. The trap of emotional dependency. Learning to love without clinging. Emotional dependency can be one of the most challenging dynamics in relationships. It happens when we rely on our partner for a sense of security, self-worth, or fulfillment, expecting them to fill our emotional voids. While it may feel natural to look to our partners for support and love, emotional dependency goes a step further, creating a dynamic where one person becomes so dependent on the other that they lose their own sense of stability. When our happiness hinges entirely on our partner's actions or attention, love turns into a form of attachment that can lead to anxiety, insecurity, and resentment. The trap of emotional dependency can often be subtle. It starts with harmless gestures, like wanting to spend more time with a partner, seeking their opinions, or relying on their reassurance. However, over time, if unchecked, it can grow into a need to be constantly validated by the partner. In this state, love becomes conditional. Our happiness fluctuates based on how much attention or affirmation we receive from our partner. This form of dependency creates an unbalanced relationship, where one partner may feel pressured or overwhelmed, while the other constantly fears abandonment or rejection. Consider the story of James and Lucy, a couple who initially had a strong and loving bond. James was drawn to Lucy's confidence, and she found comfort in his dependable nature. However, as their relationship deepened, Lucy's emotional dependency on James grew. She began needing constant reassurance of his love, and whenever James took time for himself or spent time with friends, she felt anxious and insecure. She often misinterpreted his desire for space as a sign that he was losing interest, which led to frequent arguments. Lucy's dependency gradually strained their relationship, as James felt increasingly suffocated by her need for constant affirmation. Lucy's experience reflects the difficulty of managing emotional dependency. Because she hadn't cultivated a sense of internal security, she placed the weight of her self-worth and happiness on James's actions. This dependency created a cycle of fear and possessiveness, preventing her from fully trusting James and enjoying their relationship. Emotional dependency can cause us to lose sight of ourselves, turning love into a need for validation rather than a genuine connection based on mutual respect and trust. Learning to love without clinging requires us to shift our focus from our partner's actions to our own emotional well-being. Cultivating a sense of self-worth and independence is essential for a balanced and fulfilling relationship. This doesn't mean that we stop caring about our partner's feelings, but rather that we don't place our entire emotional stability in their hands. We can love wholeheartedly while maintaining a healthy distance, allowing both ourselves and our partner the freedom to grow and thrive. One of the first steps in breaking free from emotional dependency is to develop a stronger connection with oneself. Mindfulness and self-care practices can play a crucial role here. Taking time to explore our interests, engage in hobbies, and build friendships outside the relationship helps us create a fulfilling life independent of our partner. By nurturing our own happiness, we reduce the need to rely on our partner for constant reassurance. This self-reliance strengthens the relationship, as we are better able to handle temporary separations, disagreements, and moments of uncertainty without feeling threatened. Another aspect of overcoming emotional dependency is learning to identify and process our emotions without immediate reaction. When we feel anxious or insecure, it's natural to want our partner's comfort. However, before seeking reassurance, we can practice self-reflection to understand the root of our feelings. Often, dependency stems from past experiences or personal insecurities rather than from anything our partner has done. By acknowledging and addressing these underlying issues, we can approach our partner with clarity rather than desperation. For example, instead of reacting impulsively, Lucy could have paused to recognize that her insecurity came from her fear of abandonment rather than from any real issue in James's behavior. Through mindfulness, she could begin to see her reactions as separate from reality, allowing her to address her emotions without letting them dominate her interactions with James. This practice of self-reflection can help us understand that our partner is not responsible for fixing our insecurities and that they too need freedom and space to maintain their well-being. Communication is also vital in managing emotional dependency. When we feel insecure, expressing our feelings calmly and openly without blaming our partner allows us to seek support without creating pressure. For example, rather than accusing James of neglect, Lucy could share her feelings with honesty and openness, inviting him to reassure her in a way that doesn't feel burdensome. Healthy communication helps partners support each other without creating a cycle of dependency and resentment. Learning to love without clinging doesn't mean we withhold affection or avoid intimacy. Instead, it means loving from a place of emotional abundance rather than scarcity. When we have a strong sense of self-worth, we bring a balanced energy to the relationship, giving and receiving love freely without fear. This type of love is not rooted in need, but in genuine care, allowing both partners to feel valued without feeling confined. In the end, emotional independence brings stability and resilience to relationships. It allows us to face the ups and downs of love with greater patience and understanding. By letting go of the need to control or cling to our partner, we create space for them to be their true selves, fostering a deeper and more authentic connection. When love is free from dependency, it flourishes, allowing both partners to grow together, yet remain whole within themselves. Cultivating emotional intelligence to maintain lasting love. Emotional intelligence, EI, is the foundation of a resilient, healthy relationship. Defined as the ability to understand, manage, and express one's own emotions, as well as recognize and influence the emotions of others. Emotional intelligence allows couples to connect deeply, communicate effectively, and resolve conflicts constructively. While initial chemistry or compatibility may bring two people together, it is emotional intelligence that enables a relationship to flourish over time. Min Neum emphasizes that lasting love doesn't require perfection in a partner. Rather, it thrives on the shared dedication to navigate emotions with empathy and understanding. In relationships, emotional intelligence plays a crucial role in how partners communicate, handle challenges, and support each other's emotional growth. Without EI, even minor disagreements can spiral into major conflicts, as partners may misinterpret each other's intentions, overreact to simple misunderstandings, or let unresolved issues accumulate over time. On the other hand, a high level of emotional intelligence enables couples to discuss their feelings openly, listen actively, and approach disagreements with compassion rather than blame. Consider the story of Lisa and Mark, a couple with differing communication styles. Lisa, a naturally expressive person, found it easy to share her feelings and thoughts openly, while Mark, more introverted, often held back and preferred to process emotions internally. Early in their relationship, Lisa sometimes felt frustrated and hurt by Mark's reserved nature, interpreting his silence as indifference. Mark, in turn, felt overwhelmed by Lisa's emotional intensity and struggled to express himself in a way that met her expectations. Their differing approaches often led to tension, with each partner feeling misunderstood. Through counseling, Lisa and Mark realized that emotional intelligence could bridge their communication gap. By working to understand each other's emotional needs, they developed empathy and found ways to express themselves that honored both their unique styles. Lisa practiced patience, recognizing that Mark needed time to process before responding, while Mark learned to articulate his feelings more openly. This shift allowed them to connect on a deeper level, strengthening their relationship. Self-awareness and emotional intelligence. The first pillar of emotional intelligence in relationships is self-awareness, understanding one's own emotions, triggers, and needs. Self-awareness allows us to approach our partner with honesty, expressing our emotions without projecting past insecurities or fears onto them. When we lack self-awareness, we risk overreacting or becoming defensive, which can strain the relationship. By developing self-awareness, we become more accountable for our emotional responses, which fosters a sense of security and trust. In Lisa and Mark's case, Lisa's self-awareness helped her recognize that her frustration stemmed from her need for emotional connection rather than Mark's actual behavior. Instead of blaming him, she was able to communicate her needs calmly, which opened up a path for mutual understanding. Similarly, Mark's self-awareness allowed him to identify his own discomfort with confrontation, enabling him to work on expressing himself without feeling pressured or cornered. Empathy. Seeing through each other's eyes. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, and it is essential in any lasting relationship. Empathy requires that we step outside of our own perspective and truly listen to our partner, striving to understand their emotions and experiences. Empathy is not just about agreeing, but about validating each other's emotions, acknowledging the other person's reality even when we don't fully relate to it. This empathetic approach fosters a relationship built on mutual respect and compassion. In Mark and Lisa's story, developing empathy helped them bridge the gap between their different communication styles. When Mark empathized with Lisa's need for emotional expression, he became more receptive to her perspective, even when he couldn't fully understand it. Likewise, Lisa's empathy for Mark's more introverted nature allowed her to respect his need for space, which helped them avoid misunderstandings and conflict. Managing emotions constructively. One of the most important aspects of emotional intelligence is the ability to manage emotions constructively. In a relationship, this means being able to stay calm during disagreements, control impulses, and avoid hurtful language or actions. Emotional management involves recognizing when emotions are running high and taking steps to address them without escalating the situation. This skill helps prevent conflicts from turning destructive and enables partners to resolve issues in a constructive, respectful manner. For example, Lisa and Mark initially struggled with emotional management, as they both tended to let their frustrations boil over during disagreements. Through practice, they learned techniques like deep breathing, pausing before responding, and setting aside time to cool off before discussing sensitive topics. These strategies allowed them to approach conversations more calmly, enabling them to resolve issues without resorting to hurtful words or defensive reactions. Effective communication. Expressing needs and listening with openness. Effective communication is the outward expression of emotional intelligence in a relationship. When couples communicate mindfully, they can share their needs, listen without judgment, and respond in ways that strengthen the connection rather than create rifts. Good communication requires active listening, where each partner fully focuses on what the other is saying without interrupting or planning their response. This type of listening fosters understanding and empathy, making each partner feel valued and heard. In Lisa and Mark's case, learning to communicate effectively was transformative. Lisa practiced expressing her feelings without overwhelming Mark, while Mark made a conscious effort to listen attentively without withdrawing. By improving their communication, they felt more connected and supported, which fostered a greater sense of intimacy and trust. The lasting impact of emotional intelligence. Cultivating emotional intelligence in a relationship is not a one-time effort. It's an ongoing commitment to growth and self-improvement. By embracing self-awareness, empathy, emotional management, and effective communication, couples can build a resilient and loving partnership that withstands life's challenges. Emotional intelligence helps partners navigate disagreements, support each other's growth, and create a relationship that is both nurturing and empowering. Ultimately, emotional intelligence allows love to evolve. As partners become more skilled in understanding and supporting each other's emotional needs, they build a foundation of trust and mutual respect. This strong foundation enables the relationship to grow deeper over time, moving beyond the superficial and creating a lasting, meaningful bond. Cultivating emotional intelligence doesn't just enhance individual well-being, it strengthens the entire relationship, making it a source of joy, resilience, and enduring love. Self-care, fostering personal happiness to enrich the relationship. One of the greatest gifts we can bring to a relationship is a strong sense of self and a commitment to our own well-being. Self-care, the intentional practice of tending to our mental, emotional, and physical needs, is essential not only for personal happiness but also for creating a healthy, lasting relationship. When both partners take responsibility for their own happiness, the relationship becomes a place of growth, joy, and mutual support rather than a source of dependency or insecurity. Mein Niem teaches that to love deeply and authentically, we must first learn to cultivate a sense of peace and happiness within ourselves, creating a foundation for resilient, balanced love. Self-care goes beyond mere indulgence. It's a practice of maintaining mental and emotional health. Unfortunately, in the excitement of a new relationship, it's easy for partners to become so focused on each other's needs that they neglect their own. This dynamic can create an imbalance where one or both individuals begin to rely heavily on the other for fulfillment, leading to dependency and eventual burnout. By making self-care a priority, each partner ensures they are bringing the best version of themselves into the relationship, allowing love to flourish in a way that supports each person's individual growth. Consider Sarah and Tom, a couple who had been together for 5 years. Early in their relationship, they spent nearly all their time together, sharing everything from hobbies to friends. While this created a strong initial bond, they gradually began losing touch with their own identities. Sarah stopped attending her favorite dance classes, while Tom rarely spent time on his own passion for painting. Over time, they began to feel unfulfilled and irritable, with both expecting the other to make up for the lack of personal joy. This unspoken expectation led to tension, as neither could fully meet the other's needs for happiness and personal satisfaction. Eventually, Sarah and Tom realized the importance of reconnecting with themselves and their individual interests. Sarah returned to dance, while Tom carved out time each week for his painting. By reestablishing these activities, they each regained a sense of fulfillment and personal happiness, which they brought back into their relationship. They learned that by investing in themselves, they could create a partnership that was both fulfilling and enriching. Creating balance through independence. A key benefit of self-care is that it fosters a sense of independence within the relationship. When each person takes responsibility for their own happiness, the relationship becomes a place of sharing rather than clinging. Partners feel free to pursue their interests, friendships, and goals, knowing that they are supported, not restricted by their relationship. Independence does not mean distance. Rather, it signifies the ability to maintain a strong sense of self while also deeply valuing the connection with one's partner. In Sarah and Tom's case, practicing self-care helped them balance togetherness with independence, allowing them to love each other without feeling suffocated. By fostering personal happiness, they created a healthy interdependence rather than a dependency. This sense of independence made their time together richer, as they had experiences and interests to share with each other, keeping the relationship dynamic and engaging. Managing stress and emotions. Self-care also plays a vital role in managing stress and emotions. Relationships naturally go through ups and downs, and the ability to navigate these fluctuations depends heavily on each partner's emotional resilience. Practicing self-care, whether through meditation, exercise, journaling, or hobbies, enables individuals to process their emotions, manage stress, and approach relationship challenges with greater patience and clarity. Without self-care, stress can accumulate, leading to irritability, misunderstandings, and even resentment within the relationship. For instance, Tom found that spending time painting helped him decompress from work stress, enabling him to engage with Sarah more calmly and openly. By processing his emotions independently, he avoided bringing unnecessary tension into the relationship. Similarly, Sarah found that dancing provided her with an emotional release, making her more patient and empathetic when navigating conflicts with Tom. Self-care allowed both of them to maintain a steady emotional balance, which strengthened their connection. Setting boundaries to protect personal well-being. Boundaries are an essential aspect of self-care in relationships. They allow each person to protect their mental and emotional health by clarifying what is acceptable and what isn't. Setting boundaries helps prevent overextending oneself or sacrificing too much for the relationship, which can lead to resentment and emotional exhaustion. Boundaries also create a foundation of respect, where each partner acknowledges the other's needs and personal limits. In Sarah and Tom's relationship, establishing boundaries meant carving out dedicated time for their individual passions. Tom set aside one evening each week for painting, while Sarah made time for a weekly dance class. These boundaries ensured that both had the freedom to recharge and pursue activities that nourished their souls. By respecting each other's needs for personal space and self-care, they created a relationship based on mutual respect and understanding. Maintaining self-worth and confidence. Self-care is crucial for maintaining self-worth and confidence, both of which are vital for a healthy relationship. When individuals neglect self-care, they may start seeking validation from their partner, leading to dependency and insecurity. Practicing self-care helps individuals cultivate a sense of self-worth, independent of their partner's approval or validation. This inner confidence enables them to bring authenticity to the relationship, free from the fear of judgment or rejection. For Sarah, resuming her dance classes reminded her of her strengths and passions, boosting her confidence and self-esteem. This newfound sense of self-worth allowed her to engage in the relationship with greater authenticity and joy, as she no longer relied solely on Tom's validation. Tom, too, felt a renewed sense of pride in his creative pursuits, which translated into a deeper connection with Sarah. By nurturing their individual self-worth, both partners contributed to a healthier, more balanced relationship, enriching the relationship through personal growth. Self-care allows each partner to grow individually, which in turn enriches the relationship. As both partners pursue their own interests and goals, they bring new experiences, insights, and energy into the relationship, keeping it fresh and evolving. Rather than becoming stagnant, the relationship becomes a space where each person feels free to explore, grow, and share new aspects of themselves. This continuous personal growth helps prevent boredom or complacency, making the relationship a source of excitement and inspiration. In Sarah and Tom's case, self-care practices allowed them to evolve individually while still supporting each other's growth. Their shared experiences became more diverse and meaningful, as they brought fresh perspectives and stories to their conversations. This enrichment strengthened their bond, as each partner saw the other as an individual with unique passions and goals, not just as a partner in a relationship. Building a love that heals and grows. True love is an art that takes time, patience, and intentionality to cultivate. As we learn to love with mindfulness, compassion, and self-awareness, we transform our relationships from sources of stress and dependency to connections that uplift and support us. When we release our unrealistic expectations, cultivate emotional intelligence, and maintain our independence, we lay the foundation for a love that is strong, resilient, and fulfilling. Lon's journey serves as a reminder that love is a path of growth and self-discovery. Through her experiences, she learned to recognize her own patterns, face her insecurities, and build a relationship grounded in genuine care rather than attachment. In doing so, she created a partnership based on trust, respect, and true companionship. By applying these principles in our own relationships, we can cultivate a love that brings us peace, joy, and connection. A love that does not weigh us down, but rather inspires us to be our best selves.